As somebody who engages regularly with Christian missionaries, I've noticed a recent steering away from the traditional Genesis 1:26 arguments to much more of a focus on arguments such as the angel of the Lord. Could you maybe give a breakdown of this argument?
Christians are in an unenviable predicament. As much as I'm critical of the religion that they adhere to, they're not in a good situation. I'm not going to say my heart goes out to them. I just wish they'd study a little bit more. But imagine walking into church on Sunday morning, and then from the moment you walk into church to the time you leave church, I don't know, whatever long it takes, 2 hours, right? It's Jesus just straight through. It really is a personality cult about Jesus. The whole thing is Jesus straight through. It's hymns about Jesus, right? Imagine that, right? And then you look at the Hebrew Bible, Tanakh, and there's nothing about Jesus. It just doesn't match. It's not just a different orientation. There's no personality cult. And moreover, in Tanakh, I've often said that no one would ever dream of, as much as you and I look forward, like Mashiach could be coming very soon, especially now, right? And it's very possible that we will witness Tchias HaMesim, the resurrection, in a matter of days or weeks. I mean, we're very close to the end now, right? So imagine what it would be like if we were to meet Yeshayahu, Isaiah, right? I mean, that would be, meet Daniel, it would be amazing, right? But no matter how amazing it would be to meet Abraham, our father of blessed memory, right? None of us would ever dream of worshiping any of them. No matter how high our regard is for them, the notion of worshiping Jeremiah is it's just insane. It's just, why would you if someone were to even suggest that, you go, you have to be mentally ill to think that, because in Tanakh, the greatest people, every mistake they've made is highlighted for everyone to see. Every shortcoming is highlighted for us to learn from. We would just never think of worshiping Moses. What? You crazy? We would never do that. We would be in awe. If I saw Shmuel Hanavi, I would be shaking. I would. But because Tanakh is always oriented vertically to God. We would never dream. I want people to observe this. We would never dream, reading Tanakh, to ever worship any of the great saints that we've encountered there. Conversely, it's very easy to understand that when reading the Christian Bible, going to church, that all you find is Jesus, 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 and people are worshiping. Now, in the Christian Bible, Jesus is not God equal, but he's way up there. It depends on what book. So missionaries are left with a Hebrew Bible with no mention of Jesus. Like, where is he? Like, he's supposed to be the second person of the triune Godhead. So what they have to do is they're looking for shadows and types. They're ghost hunting, which means any personality that emerges that's mysterious, there's our Jesus, right? And even though the Christian Bible, and very specifically the book of Hebrews, begins by telling us, well, it opens up by saying that in the old days, we followed what the prophets said. That's verse 1. But now we have Jesus Christ to take care of all that. So, bingo, like it's right in your face. But in chapter 1, verse 4 and 5, right away, he's saying Jesus is not an angel. And, where does it say you are my son? And where does it say, you'll be to me a son? Misquoting two passages from Psalm 2. So Hebrews argues against this. Now, the book of Hebrews was written about 64, while the temple was standing before the war. So what happens is Christians are simply looking in Tanakh, and this is, by the way, church fathers were doing this going back to the 2nd century, and an angel of the Lord is Jesus, And now there's a tricky part here, and this is why they could get away with this to someone who has only a superficial knowledge of the Hebrew Bible. And that is that in Tanakh, angels are very frequently called God. Now, we don't speak that way, but Tanakh does. And therefore, this can be exploited, could be weaponized. As an example, when when Jacob wrestles with an angel, you wouldn't know it was an angel if you're just reading the Torah. And Jacob says that I fought with God, I struggled with God, and I was victorious. He wasn't fighting with God, he was fighting with an angel. Well, Hosea 12, verse 4 supplies that information, and it all makes sense. Manoach, the father of Shimshon, of Samson, encounters an angel. We're told very clearly it's an angel Lord, but he's bringing an offering that he encountered God. Now, it's understandable that someone encounters an angel feels they've encountered the divine. But so missionaries will do this. Now, as a thought experiment, to demonstrate this, imagine if there was a passage in the book of Numbers that said that God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son so that anyone who would believe in him would not perish but have everlasting life, right? Now, if it said that in Numbers, right, do you think missionaries would be looking for an angel Lord? The answer, of course not. They have an open verse in Tanakh that's a Christology. I mean, this is so naked and transparent. So what's happening is they have to impose it, even though an angel is a messenger. We see in the book of Exodus that an angel cannot forgive sin. And that's why they use it, because there's nothing. They have nothing. So that's why it's sort of this dials back to the beginning of our conversation. If Christians didn't have Tanakh, then they could say they just believe in Christianity without Tanakh. But the reason why Christianity is demonstrably false is because the core tenets of the Christian religion are opposed by the prophets of Israel. We could do an experiment here because I want to just train you. I'm saying something rather fantastic. So I want people to sort of maybe push back, but we can go to Judges chapter 2, verse 1 as an example, right? V'yal Malach Hashem. It openly begins to say that an angel of God came from Gilgal, okay? And he said, Vayomer, and the angel said, that I am the one, I'm just translating, I'm the one who took you out of Egypt, and I brought you to the land of Israel, that I swore to your forefathers. What's going on here? With an angel saying this, I am the Lord your God. So in Tanakh, that's something that's conventional. We don't talk that way. So missionaries, of course, exploit that as well. And I want to add to something I've been thinking about a lot that may add a little bit of saturated color to this. I thought a lot about why did God create angels? I mean, why does he need an angel? An angel is a messenger. Malach is a messenger. Like you and I need assistance to help us. We can't milk cows. We can't do everything. So we have people work for us, either employed by us or we pay for their services. What we need other people to cooperate with us in some way because we can't do it all. I think you know exactly what question I'm going to ask, right? What's the obvious question? Like, God doesn't have that limitation, right? So why did he create angels? That's a fair question, right? Right? That's not a weird question. Like, why? And the thing is, the Mesilas Yesharim begins with that thing sometimes that are right in front of us, that we just can't see it. So it's like we just take for granted they're angels, but why did God, our tradition is that God created angels on the second day of creation. No matter what, why does God need an angel? After all, he can do anything. He doesn't need to employ other beings. These are metaphysical beings. He doesn't need it. He doesn't need a messenger. He can do it himself. And it's very clear in reading Tanakh why angels were created. And that is that God has to interact with people who are not always worthy of nevuah, can handle a prophecy. Only Moshe Rabbeinu Moses, our teacher of blessed memory, could have a full speak to God face to face as a man speaks to his friend in fully conscious state, no sleep, no. So therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to thus communicate with Gideon, who are not ready to Moses' level and to have that conscious, and that's what angels are there for. So if and we actually, if you follow the pattern of angels, angels are, for instance, Daniel never speaks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu directly. Never says in God. God is always sending an angel because Daniel begins his we call him a prophet, and that's fine. He begins his prophetic career in Bavel, in Babylon. So he never hears the voice of Hashem. An angel is always speaking to him. Same thing with Zechariah and Malachi. They're hearing an angel because it's very late in the prophetic period. It's really the end of the prophetic period. So the core purpose of an angel is when God is interacting with us, and we cannot bear, the Jews who heard the voice of God at Mount Sinai literally dropped dead from the experience, and they went to Moses, you see the end of Exodus 20, and they said, we're dying of this, we can't handle this, we know you're God's prophet, would you just relate it? And Moses he instinctively knew this is not a good idea, and he asked them, he jousted at them, like, what are you afraid of? But he conceded the point, but he wasn't that. And as it turns out, with the golden calf, we could see that Moses recognized that there's a problem here. They're overly reliant on me. So the overarching reason why an angel exists is so that we can interact with the divine without actually receiving direct prophecy of hearing the voice of God, which today would not be possible at all. And even in the ancient times would only be possible, like Shmuel, he's sleeping and hears God calling him. So once we get that, then we can really understand why angels sound like God, and then missionaries just need to weaponize it. With your permission, one other point. This is a very important point for clarity, because this may leave us all a little scratching our head. Then what do we do? Like, how do you handle this? So I want to add one part, which I know you'll enjoy. It's very important to hold the missionaries' feet to the fire on this one. And I don't mean that in an aggressive way, because you know that's not my style. The argument that missionaries are making, this is very critical, because I need to know, I didn't take that full circle. I went sort of 250 degrees, but we need to go around to 360. So here's the key. The claim of the church is that I can prove to you from your Hebrew Bible that Jesus is the Messiah. I have hundreds of prophecies that clearly, explicitly demonstrate that Jesus is the Messiah, because that's a fantastic claim. Doesn't mean it's not true, but fantastic claims require fantastic evidence. So we go, okay, show me your best, what you have. And then we're told an angel of the Lord is Jesus. I say, wait, that's not what was advertised, okay? So this is how you have to do this in terms of strategy. Now, this is not tricky. What you're doing is you have a contract with a Christian missionary. The contract is that he's saying there is like if I asked you, like we're all religious Jews, if you asked any of us, why don't we eat pork? We would very easily go, look at Leviticus chapter 11. Why do we keep Sabbath? Exodus 20, Exodus 31. I mean, it's Deuteronomy 5, Deuteronomy everything. It means if you map out how we live our lives, we don't eat chametz, leavened bread on Passover. Exodus 12. I mean, you think about the life of a religious Jew, an Orthodox Jew, and I know if you're a Reform or conservative and watch this, please don't be offended. It would be very easy for any of us to explain exactly, precisely what it is we believe. If we're asked, why don't we touch money on the Sabbath, we would tell you that actually there isn't a scriptural commandment. Because we don't engage in commerce, we don't touch things that we don't use. And it's not biblical. We just stay away from things that it doesn't belong on the Sabbath. It would be very easy for us to do this. So all we want to do, this is very important when you're talking to a missionary, is don't let them float away on you. They're promising you explicit proof that Jesus is the Messiah from the Hebrew Bible, not from a Septuagint, not from a weird translation. And what we're offered up is not even mediocre evidence. We're offered up promiscuous evidence. We're offered up scandalous evidence. So if someone goes to the angel of the Lord saying, well, it doesn't say that there, so I need something that's explicit because your claim is enormous. And you're saying that Jesus is God when the Tanakh says that Gam netzach shelo lo yishar ki lo yodam hu lihinochem. So this is completely Christianity is contradictory. So you have to always bring back, or else you get into trouble. You have to have a verbal contract beforehand that you're going to prove to me that Jesus is the Messiah from the Hebrew Bible, okay? And you have proof of this, okay? And so then when they go to the angel of the Lord stuff, you could very easily go, that doesn't say Jesus. Show me where it's Jesus. And then you deal with that and address it in a way that's thoughtful. Never get aggressive with people, just say, please, this is a fantastic claim. You'd agree, show me the evidence. So don't let it go there, because what really is it's a false advertising. You're shown a picture of something amazing, and then when you're asked for when you show up at the store, they say, well, that's not what you're getting. And you go, what are you talking about? And you'd call the Better Business Bureau. So that's important to keep in mind, just talking to a missionary. Go to the... Oh, and by the way, don't be frightened of saying, show me your best possible proof that Christianity is a true religion. It's just so easy.